Hello everyone, my name is Chi Kuo from Taiwan. I currently work at Chinese International Corporation as an art director and manager, and I'm honored to share my 3D art experiences with you. In this video, I will demonstrate how to use Character Creator 4 and Blender in a simple process to create the Super Mario character, Princess Peach. Let's start off in Character Creator 4. Directly import a standard female character. We will use the modeling tools to adjust the head and body proportions, but before that, put her in a matching pose. Use modeling tools to adjust head and body proportions based on reference. Next, I'll export this model as an OBJ to Blender and use the nude character in bind pose option. Use the Character Creator plugin in Blender to import the model. You can download this plugin from the official site if you don't have it. Click on the Import Character and select the OBJ file, and the OBJ file will be brought in as a mesh. First, create a shape key and set it to 1. And then we'll drag in a concept image of Princess Peach. Adjust the angle and size of the reference image, and then use the sculpting tools to adjust the face according to the reference image. Now do remember, we must not modify, remove, or add to the base topology. A chunk of time is required for this stage, and during this process you can hide the eyelashes to facilitate the editing process. You can also modify the body shape as well. And once the body shape is complete, use Export Morph Target to export the modified mesh. Before re-importing the mesh back into Character Creator, reset all the morphs to 0 by pressing the Reset button. Go to Create Morph Slider Editor to create a new morph slider, and the Morph Slider Editor window will appear. Click File and select the previously exported OBJ file from Blender. Click OK to bring in the model. And what we see is quite unsettling, with the eyeballs not scaling with the head topology. So we're going to edit the eyeball topologies to resize them to fit the eye sockets. Once the eyeballs have been adjusted, adjust the surrounding eyelids. Then modify the skin textures. First deploy the baby skin textures. Once applied, start to adjust the textures and enable some skin details. This one I don't need, and eyebrows aren't needed either. Using the SkinGen Premium plugin, I can directly fix the base skin layer. Right-click on the texture and perform Launch Texture. The texture is easily modified in an image editor. You'll need to designate an image editor as the launch program. And you'll use the same method to adjust the other channel maps. I'm going for a more cartoony look, so most of the normal details are not needed. Same with ambient occlusion, just remove the unneeded parts. These changes should be enough here. Select a more cartoony texture to put on the eyes. While the eyes are still selected, click on the base color channel map, then click the Launch Texture button to export it to an image editor. Looking at the reference image, adjust the coloring and add some details. Then adjust the eyelashes. Just pick a template to adjust. Adjust them using morphs or mesh editing. Pick the opacity channel map, and then click the Launch Texture button to modify it in an image editor. Then add some eyeliners. Just choose a suitable one. Pick a suitable set of eyebrows and its corresponding parameters. Add double eyelids with the same resources. Here the trailing eyelid crease is not needed, just remove it by adjusting the material textures. And the gaps between the teeth shouldn't be too obvious. Just use the morphs for adjustments. And this should do it. Before exporting, remember to set a pose for donning clothes. Gesturing is quite important too. We can also store this gesture for later usage. Once the clothes are prepared, I export the hair together with the clothes back into Character Creator 4. Character Creator 4 will give several options for importing multiple accessories, and a prompt will also appear indicating multiple objects detected and inquiring about combining them. Click OK and the objects will be merged, and afterwards we can use the modeling tools to separate out the geometry. In the modeling mode, select Element, select the target mesh, then click Extract Mesh to separate it. You can see how it is split into two geometries. You can select one of the geometries and start to transfer skin weights, and once transformed, the geometry turns into a separate accessory. If all the models are properly separated, you can select Cancel when asked to merge. The meshes will be separated into respective accessories upon import. The drawback is that you have to select all the models to adjust their positions. Import each channel texture one by one. Use the color adjustment parameters available in the texture settings, and don't worry about the big color differences. For the opacity channel map, we'll need to remove the black portions of the PNG in order for it to render correctly. Here, the shoes have some mesh penetration, and we can modify the topology to fix it. Next, bind the accessories one by one to the appropriate body parts. And for the stuff on the head, we can have them follow the head bone. Use the modeling tools to fix mesh penetrations. In addition, all accessories can use the Hide Body Mesh tool to hide the concealed meshes so that during the motions, skin does not poke through the clothing. Select portions of the skin for hiding, and you can also select certain faces to show or hide. I usually begin work on large areas at a time, then I hone down on the smaller bits to show or hide. Then I'll fix the skin weights on a tire by using the skin weight editing tools. Pick the bone and use the smooth brush to even out the weights under the armpit area. Now the weights can be considered smooth. Next is the collar area. Since we don't want this area to be affected by the head turns, select the collar geometry and zero out the weight influence from the head bone. When there are no more problems with these skin weights, we can start to work on the mesh collisions. Mostly it's about preventing the hair and the skirt from penetrating into the thighs. So click on the collision shape to edit the collision settings, and once clicked, the collision shape editor appears. You'll discover that every body part has a capsule body, and these are the physics sources for the hair and cloth. We can scale and move the collision shapes to cover the associated body parts, and here we'll spend some time making basic adjustments. And these settings are now considered complete. Add a walking motion, select the dress, and click on Weight Map in the Physics panel, and the skin weight editor will appear. For the weights, we can also click the Launch Texture button to modify the weight map in an image editor. Basically, the black areas receive no physics, and on the contrary, white areas receive the strongest influence. Below are the brightness and contrast settings for basic adjustments, then select the desired fabric preset. Click the Simulation button to calculate cloth-body interaction. Then click on the Playback button, and you'll see the cloth physics effect in action. The hands intersecting with the skirt is the only thing that is lacking, and I'll just fix the motion in Blender and import it back. And that's looking pretty good. I'll quickly adjust the hair physics by using one of the physics weight presets. For this character, I'll pick the long hair preset. Next, we'll need to fix the expression morphs. Near the bottom of the timeline controls, we have access to a lot of test motions. I will select the motion for a talking girl. Let's take a look at the results. On the facial animation, we can see that there are a few unwanted muscle details. Character Creator provides tools for editing the expression shapes. Click on Facial Profile Editor, then click on Edit Expressions to start editing the expressions. The left panel has a lot of shapes for the facial areas related to the eyes, mouth, and ears. Some expressions aren't sufficient. We'll need to edit the facial morphs one at a time. I'll demonstrate how the mouth muscles are corrected. We'll need to lessen the creases around the mouth as she speaks. So let's fix the morph shapes that have these creases. First, I'll select this morph where the fold is particularly obvious. Near the bottom left corner is the Edit Mesh tool. This is one way of directly editing the mesh in one of many methods. Once clicked, we enter into a familiar interface, using the sculpting tools to refine the surface. While editing the mesh, we don't have to worry about affecting the face shape. After editing is complete and leaving the mesh editing mode, select the corrected morph on the left. Here's a tiny lightning button This is used to apply and record the slider value, and pressing it will max it to 100. In other words, it's like having the expression cranked to the maximum. And the result looks like this. To the side of the expression label is an icon with two facing arrowheads. Pressing this causes the morph shape to mirror for the other side, and now the morph for both sides are the same. And the mouth creases are now revised. The gaping eye blinks are also fixed. Let's play back the animation. And the talking animations are now better suited to the art style. Next, let's export to Blender to give her a nicer render. Select Blender as the target software, and just export the mesh to finish. Enable the removal of the hidden faces, click on Export. Then in Blender, use the Character Creator plugin to import. There are checkboxes here for lighting, physics, wrinkles, and rigify. Click Import Character to bring in the exported FBX file. The IK rig is already set up after import. You can pose the character however you like. Next, we'll use iClone 8 to have her interact with Mario. iClone 8 is a real-time animation software. And with it, you can quickly create several minutes worth of animated performances. This scene has Mario in it. We can drag existing motions directly onto him to make him put on a performance. The animation can be adjusted via the linear clips. For example, Mario's hands are intersecting with his pants. Here we can fix it by editing the first frame, and the motion is more natural now that the hands hang away from the pants. Then we take the Princess Peach model from Character Creator to iClone 8. Near the top left corner of the window, you'll find a small button labeled IC. Pressing this button will bring the character into iClone 8. Next, we'll apply a simple interactive performance. First, give Mario a simple run animation and a halt motion. Apply a transition to the motion clips by having the two segments overlap. Then set its trajectory. I want him to be running towards Princess Peach's direction. In addition, his path animation is automatically keyframed. Back to the beginning of the path, we give Princess Peach a waiting animation. And next, I prepared a bridle carry motion. I just import it as an FBX at frame 75. I drag and drop the motions to the respective characters. However, we can see that the motions result in a giant gap between the two characters, which is a big issue. Select Princess Peach and click on Edit Motion Layer. Go to the problematic frame to apply positional fixes. We fix the intersecting hands for the waiting motion. Fix the elevation of the princess while picked up. And the carry motion happens very quickly. So we don't have to be too finicky with the mesh penetrations here. Adjust the limbs to accommodate the other character. And now let's work on Mario again. While he's running, I would like him to keep his head directed at Peach's face. And at this point, I want Princess Peach to cling onto Mario's shoulders. By targeting his shoulders, her hands will no longer slip around his back. Select Princess Peach, click on Animation, Reach Target, and the Reach Target window will appear. Click on the left hand of the puppet diagram, click on Select Target and Keep Current Pose, then select Mario's back. The field will be filled with Mario's spine bone. The hand will now cling to the back during playback, and the same method also applies to the right hand. When Mario starts to run, we need to have Princess Peach carried along. Next, we will need to mix this pose with motion. First, save the bridal carry pose. Here we can see the thumbnail for the saved pose. Next, give a new running motion to Mario. We'll mix in the carry pose. Select Mario, perform animation edit motion layer, and the edit motion layer window will appear. Click the pose layer tab to begin mixing in the pose, and the puppet diagram will be highlighted in green. They mark areas for mixing the limbs. I'll keep the upper body highlighted in green to preserve the carry pose. Once selected, drag and drop the pose to Mario. I will now have Mario run off in a different direction. And for the final frame, pick a desired direction for Mario to turn toward. Then paste the running movement to extend the motion. Now we are finished and all topics have been covered up to this point. Thank you for watching, and I hope you now have a greater understanding of Character Creator 4 and iClone 8.